Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. It's time for another Siege review. And this time we're taking a look at Skytread and his Generation 1 counterpart, Flywheels. Of course, Flywheels was released as a duocon, which meant that he was two vehicles that combined to form one robot. So his personality was split between the two vehicles. Unfortunately for Flywheels, he ended up being crazed by that, because both modes would be jealous of what the other one could do, and would constantly fight with each other, even after they merged into the complete robot. So Flywheels is a bit weird. Has yet to be said if that carries over to Skytread, but I do like the fact that the mold is considerably better than the original. Plus, of course, Skytread's mold here will be reused for a limited edition set. I believe that one will be in it. It is an exclusive. I'm not entirely sure where it will be. But he will be a part of an exclusive where he will be recolored and labeled as Slam Dance. And he will be sold in a pack with the G2 Sideswipe and an unnamed Battlemaster. So, we got something to look forward to with this again later on in the year. We'll see how that works out. At any rate, let's take a look at these two toys. We'll start off by first looking at the Generation 1 version, Flywheels here. As you can see, he's not got a lot going for him, to be honest with you folks. His articulation, well, I mean, he can bend at the hip, and he can bend at the knee, but that's more for flipping him in between his modes. Otherwise, he can move his arm at the shoulder like so. So that means he's got to hold his gun, as you can see, improperly to be able to aim it in the right direction. Because if he holds it properly, he's shooting off to the side. Which over there is my Pepsi and one of my lamps. So he's aiming for the hallway. Won't take any chances with him. Now, we're taking a look here at Skytread. You can definitely see we got a better deal this go-around with him. For starters, we can turn his head from side to side, and he can look up and down. If we fold his wings back, his arms will rotate all the way around, and he can raise his arm up about so far. He does have a joint at the elbow that allows him to bend his arms up like so. And there is a joint at the bicep. So he does have the swivel arm battle grip that G.I. Joes were so famous for. He does have slight ability to turn at the hip, but mainly the tail of his airplane gets in the way of that. He can do a full splits at the hip. He can raise his leg at the hip about 90 degrees, and he can bend at the knees a full 90 degrees. And there is slight articulation at his ankle. Now, of course, like many of the Siege guys, he does have an alternate ability for his gun. His guns can be merged together. Just connect the small one into the back of the big one, and there you go. When it's like this, he has an LRRF suspension ray super launcher. Right. Now let's put it to the test. We'll put him in this swivel arm battle grip. Well, when he's got it like that, it almost looks professional. It can almost be called a professional look, holding it like that. Kind of turn his head like that and make it look like he's going to shoot the other lamp. But of course, that's about the only time it looks good. Because, I mean, if he's got it just like that, it looks more like yardsticks that many of our teachers threaten to smack us with. It just looks ridiculously long. So, unfortunately, I think he's either better off with the two guns, or if you're going to have him hold him in the one as one long gun, have him hold it two-handed. Because otherwise, it just looks silly in my eyes. Alright, let's get them broken down into their alternate modes, and we'll take a look at how those look. It's pretty difficult to get 4 vehicles into one shot here, so we're just going to take a look at the tanks for starters. And unfortunately, both of them are a disappointment, to say the least. As imagined, neither of them have a fully functional turret. The original one here, all the gimmick is kept in here in the back for its spring-loaded action. But the only thing you can do is you can pivot the gun. It can be raised up about so far. And unfortunately, it has no wheels at the bottom, so all it is just fake tread. And that's it. Unless, of course, you do have the option to mount the gun down here. It's the best place for the gun, really, because it just sticks out under the plane. Now, the new one, however, does give it some improvement with a little more paint job, but since the turret gun is one of the rifles, it has to be replaced in here. Otherwise, it's kind of useless. So, it does have that working against it. Of course, it has 2 extra holes for the other gun, so you can mount it wherever you want. This one does have some wheels underneath it, so you can roll the tank. Unfortunately, it doesn't roll all that great. Okay, it rolls fair. But the big problem is back here in the back, folks. I mean, all this is left open and exposed. So, this mode is pretty poor, if you ask me. But of course, you're here. You're asking me for my opinion anyway. But that I don't like. So, now let's see how that works on the airplanes. Now here on their plane modes, it's a little better, but again, we're still not talking by a whole lot. The original one, at least the connection pegs here at the back, 2 of them are done up to somewhat be landing gear, so it at least has that going for it. And it does have some swoosh ability. Of course, it's got a couple of guns or missiles mounted on the side. But it does have a hole here at the bottom. You can mount the rifle there, but it just looks kind of oversized and silly on this mode. As here, the new one has some more paint apps, so it looks a little more visually appealing from the top. Of course, down on the wings, you can mount the guns, and now that we've got him on the underside, you can see what the real problem is that we have his arms are more or less exposed on here. So that kind of gives it some extra dead weight. And again, really just is not visually appealing. So, all in all, I would say that Skytread and Flywheels are more or less destined to be guys that were forgotten. I'd kind of had my hopes up that they would have done this guy more similar to how they did Battletrap in the Power of the Primes line, where he was sold separately as two different robots, and then you had the option you could combine the two of them together to form Battletrap. And I think that would have helped Skytread here. He'd at least look a little bit better. Because there had to have been more thought put into his design to be able to allow them to function as two independent robots and then be able to merge into this combined form. But this is what we got, and while I am grateful for the improvements to the robot, don't get me wrong, the robot mode is a considerable improvement over his G1 form. It's just, unfortunately, the vehicles, I think, suffered considerably more because of this redo. So, take it as you may, folks. And that concludes my comparison review between Flywheels and Skytread. I certainly hope you all enjoyed it. If you like this video, please leave me a thumbs up here on YouTube. If you're new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button down below and ring the notification bell so you'll be notified when I post new content. Also, please consider sharing your thoughts of Flywheels or Skytread in the comments down below. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.